You're sitting perfectly safe in a soft chair, but your chest is tight and your heart is violently pounding over a glowing screen and a single unread message. For over 300,000 years, this exact explosive physical reaction was the only thing standing between your ancestors and the crushing jaws of a predator. Adrenaline rips through your veins, hijacking your lungs and flooding your muscles with raw power, desperately preparing you to fight a monstrous beast that no longer exists today. Your body is flawlessly executing a survival protocol built for a vanished world. This is exactly why Ape to Legend exists. One ancestral secret every week. Hit subscribe. Let's look at your typical Tuesday night. You are staring at an email from your boss. There is no physical danger, no sharp claws, and absolutely zero risk of death. Yet, your stomach drops into a bottomless pit. Your palms sweat profusely, and every single muscle fiber in your neck violently tightens into a rigid, defensive armor. If a doctor hooked you up to a biomedical monitor right now, they would see your cortisol levels completely skyrocketing, flooding your entire system with toxic, burning stress hormones. Your amygdala, the ancient threat detection center inside your brain, has essentially hijacked your prefrontal cortex, completely bypassing your modern logic and rational thought process in a fraction of a second. Your amygdala cannot tell the difference between a late-night corporate email and a hungry, saber-toothed cat lurking outside your fragile cave. To your ancient brain, a threat is a threat. And in the unforgiving wilderness of the Pleistocene epoch, hesitating for a single moment to analyze a rustling bush meant that your genes would be violently erased from history. So, evolution built you to overreact. It designed your nervous system to explode into full panic mode at the slightest hint of social rejection or unpredictable, looming environmental danger. But this incredible evolutionary masterpiece, which kept your ancestors breathing through the brutally freezing ice age, is now slowly tearing your modern, sedentary body apart from the inside out. You are sitting perfectly still at a desk, absorbing massive tidal waves of adrenaline, with absolutely nowhere to run, no beast to fight, and no physical release for this tension. The stress slowly corrodes your immune system and exhausts your heart. To truly understand why you cannot simply calm down, we must strip away these comfortable walls around you. We must rewind the clock back 300,000 years into a pitch-black, freezing night where your anxiety was the greatest weapon humanity ever forged against the dark. The freezing wind mercilessly pierces your thin fur wrap. Beyond the fragile circle of your tiny campfire, a vast, pitch-black wilderness silently threatens to swallow you whole. You are not at the top of the food chain here. Massive cave lions and towering short-faced bears constantly stalk the shadows, waiting for you to make a single mistake. A sudden rustle in the dry grass sends a paralyzing chill down your spine. Your primal brain knows that hesitating to react means you will be violently torn apart. Even during the bright savanna day, danger stalks your every step. When you bend down to gather roots, you must constantly scan the tall grass for hidden, lurking death. If a predator lunges, you have absolutely no time to consciously calculate your escape route. Your survival entirely depends on a microscopic biological circuit firing perfectly on autopilot. This is where your amygdala takes total control. It acts as an incredibly ruthless ancient bodyguard, designed to forcefully override your rational mind the second danger appears. Instantly, it floods your system with cortisol, forcefully clenching your jaw and preparing your leg muscles to explode into a desperate, frantic sprint for your very life. For your ancient ancestors, this explosive biological alarm system was an absolute masterpiece of evolutionary engineering. It kept your fragile genetic lineage breathing through brutally unforgiving environments. When the unseen beast finally retreats into the darkness, the immediate threat passes. Your ancestors could sit back down, take a deep breath, and actually completely relax. The roaring adrenaline slowly drains away as they share food and stories around the warm embers. The danger is completely gone, and their nervous system successfully resets.
No.
But let's brutally
No, 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 no.
drag
I
that
can't
magnificent
look. I
survival
can't.
hardware
Oh God,
into
it's right
your
there.
modern reality.
Maybe it's okay.
You are sitting
Okay,
completely
just
still,
look.
yet your brain is desperately screaming that a monster is attacking. There are no cave lions
I
lurking
can't
in your
breathe.
office and no freezing blizzards
My
inside your
chest.
bedroom. Yet a
I can't
suffocating
breathe.
wave of pure panic violently crushes your chest anyway.
Oh,
Your ancient
an
threat
email.
detection software
Just an
cannot
email.
comprehend a
Just a
glowing
simple
screen or
email.
social rejection.
Run.
To your primal hardware, a passive-aggressive email is literally interpreted as a fatal saber-toothed cat attack. Because you
feel so
cannot physically
stuck.
fight an
There's
email
just so
or
much
sprint away
pressure
from a
and
looming
nowhere
deadline,
for it to
all
go.
that explosive survival energy becomes trapped inside your body, slowly poisoning your organs. To truly see how this toxic mismatch destroys you from the inside out, we must strip away your skin and peer directly into the glowing circuitry of your nervous system. Underneath your skin, you are not just bones and muscles. You are a highly sophisticated, bioluminescent electrical grid, optimized by millions of years of brutal survival. At the very center of this glowing neural network sits a tiny, almond-shaped structure. This is your amygdala, the absolute master control switch for your survival. When a potential threat appears, the amygdala does not wait for your conscious permission. It violently seizes total control of your body in 1/10 of a second. By the time your rational prefrontal cortex even begins to process what you are looking at, the biological alarm has already exploded across your entire nervous system. In a fraction of a heartbeat, a massive surge of adrenaline detonates inside your adrenal glands, sending burning crimson energy racing through your vascular network. It forcefully expands your lung capacity, violently tightens your leg muscles, and dilates your pupils to absorb every single photon of light from the surrounding shadows. Neurobiologists have proven that this explosive bypass circuit is the fastest sequence your body can physically perform. It is a masterpiece of ancient prehistoric engineering. Why is it so terrifyingly fast? Because in the freezing Pleistocene epoch, the rational, slow-thinking humans simply did not live long enough to pass on their genes. If your ancestors stopped to logically analyze the shape, color, and trajectory of a leaping predator, they were instantly, violently devoured in the tall grass. Natural selection ruthlessly rewarded the anxious, the hypervigilant, and the easily terrified. Your genes were built by the survivors who jumped first and asked questions later. This lightning-fast neural circuit is the exact reason why you are alive today, sitting comfortably and breathing. It is your most sacred biological inheritance. But here is the catastrophic problem. This beautiful, glowing ancestral circuitry has not changed or updated one single bit in the last 300,000 years. The glowing neon fibers inside your skull are still desperately scanning the modern environment for cave lions, venomous snakes, and rival tribes hiding in the dark. So when your phone vibrates with a passive-aggressive text message, this ancient system cannot distinguish a glowing digital pixel from the crushing jaws of a monster. It forcefully floods your heart with the exact same toxic survival hormones, preparing you for a violent physical battle that is simply never going to happen. Evolutionary biologists Randolph Nesse and George Williams call this frustrating phenomenon the smoke detector principle. And it explains exactly why your modern anxiety feels so impossible to control. Imagine the smoke detector in your house. It is intentionally designed to be hypersensitive, loudly screaming at burnt toast to ensure it never misses a real, deadly fire. Your amygdala was forged by the exact same ruthless logic. A false alarm is merely a temporary annoyance, but a missed alarm is a permanent death sentence. Let's look at a relaxed, carefree, prehistoric human. They hear a rustle in the tall grass, assume it is just the wind, and calmly continue gathering roots. That beautiful, stress-free optimism was a fatal evolutionary error. Within seconds, they are violently pulled into the shadows, and their relaxed genes are permanently erased from history. Now look at the anxious, paranoid survivor. They hear the exact same faint rustle and instantly detonate into a full-blown panic attack, sprinting frantically toward the trees. 9 out of 10 times, it was absolutely nothing. They wasted a massive amount of physical energy and exhausted their heart running away from a harmless shadow. But on that 10th time, when the shadow actually possessed razor-sharp claws, this exhausting, paranoid overreaction was the only reason they lived to see another sunrise. Evolution does not care if you feel happy, peaceful, or completely exhausted by your own mind. It only cares that you survive long enough to reproduce. So, nature aggressively selected for hypervigilance. It actively rewarded the biological systems that constantly hallucinated danger, passing down a terrifyingly sensitive threat detection software directly to you. This means your modern brain is practically a museum of ancient fears. You are genetically hardwired to expect the absolute worst-case scenario in every ambiguous situation. When your boss texts, "We need to talk," your smoke detector doesn't calmly assess the context. It immediately floods your chest with the fear of imminent death. The biological siren screams, the cortisol forcefully corrodes your immune system, and your lungs gasp for air, completely trapped in a cycle of false alarms. You are paying a devastating psychological price for the exact biological mechanism that kept your ancient bloodline from going entirely extinct during the brutally unforgiving Ice Age. No biology textbook teaches you to appreciate your anxiety this way, but Ape to Legend does, every single week. Hit subscribe to continue uncovering your ancestral secrets. In the prehistoric world, stress was acute and explosive, but it was incredibly brief. You either survived the lion or you were instantly killed. Once the immediate physical danger had safely passed, your ancestors' nervous system would quickly power down, allowing their exhausted bodies to completely heal and rest. But in your modern world, the predators do not hunt in the tall grass. They hide inside your glowing screens, your bank accounts, and your inbox. Your alarm never truly turns off. From the moment you wake up to the second you try to sleep, your brain is bombarded with micro-threats. Daily traffic jams, passive-aggressive emails, and financial anxieties constantly trick your ancient threat detection center into believing you are surrounded by a pack of hungry, vicious wolves. Because the perceived danger never physically attacks you, the survival sequence never reaches a conclusion. You are trapped in a state of perpetual, exhausting anticipation. Let's look beneath your skin again. Instead of a single, massive flood of adrenaline, your modern life creates a slow, toxic, agonizing drip of cortisol. This relentless hormonal acid steadily bathes your internal organs day after day. Your glowing vascular network remains aggressively inflamed, desperately preparing for a phantom physical battle. When your body believes it is fighting for survival, it ruthlessly shuts down everything else. It aggressively suppresses your immune system to save precious energy. Your ancient biology literally sacrifices your long-term health to keep you alive right now. But the immediate threat it is fighting is just a work deadline. It powerfully stalls your digestion, leaving your stomach tied in painful knots. This is exactly why chronic anxiety physically destroys your gut and your heart. You try to meditate, breathe deeply, and tell your racing mind to calm down. But your hyper-vigilant amygdala fiercely refuses to listen to modern logic. You feel completely broken and exhausted, blaming yourself for being so terribly anxious. But you must understand that your mind is not malfunctioning at all. Your biological machinery is flawlessly executing the exact same survival code that kept your fragile ancestors breathing through the brutally unforgiving and freezing Ice Age. The truly devastating problem is that this magnificent ancient software is now forcibly running on a highly toxic modern operating system that it simply cannot comprehend. Stanford neurobiologist Robert Sapolsky perfectly captured this tragic flaw in our biology with one simple, brilliant question. Why don't zebras get ulcers, but humans do? Think about a wild zebra grazing on the African savanna. It lives in a world of extreme, brutal violence, completely surrounded by deadly predators. Suddenly, a hungry lion lunges from the tall grass. The zebra's amygdala violently detonates, instantly flooding its muscular system with explosive, life-saving adrenaline. If we could strip away its skin, we would see a glowing biological alarm system firing at maximum capacity, exactly like yours does in a panic. For 3 terrifying minutes, it is a pure, desperate sprint for survival. But then the zebra successfully escapes, and the exhausted lion simply gives up. What does the zebra do next? It does not agonize over the attack. It simply lowers its head and peacefully goes back to chewing grass. Its physical threat is gone, so its internal biological alarm completely shuts down. The toxic hormones rapidly drain away, allowing the body to perfectly heal. Now, look back at your own incredibly complex human brain. You possess the unique, miraculous ability to vividly imagine the future and remember the past. But this evolutionary gift is also a devastating curse. You can lie perfectly safe in a warm bed and physically trigger a massive stress response. By purely thinking about a collapsing economy or a failing relationship, your brain forcefully activates the exact same physiological panic as the hunted zebra. The horrifying difference is that your imaginary lion never actually stops chasing you. The invisible psychological threat constantly hovers over you for weeks or months. Because you cannot physically sprint away from a bad financial decision, your biological alarm never receives the crucial signal that the danger has safely passed. You are trapped in a paralyzing loop. Your nervous system is perpetually screaming, preparing your muscles for a physical battle that exists entirely within your mind. Sapolsky proved that this relentless, unending flood of cortisol literally tears your cardiovascular system apart. It aggressively corrodes your blood vessels and dangerously elevates your blood pressure. Zebras do not get ulcers because they only panic when they are dying. You get ulcers because you are chronically panicking while trying to live. When you are lying awake at 3 a.m., heart aggressively pounding over a completely harmless mistake, it feels like your own mind is violently attacking you. Society constantly tells you that your anxiety is a sickness. It labels your hypervigilance as a broken malfunction that urgently needs to be permanently fixed. But look closely at your glowing neural circuitry. There are no broken wires, no corrupted codes, and absolutely no biological malfunctions inside your fragile skull. Your body is not broken, it is remembering. It is perfectly executing a 300,000-year-old survival protocol designed by the ultimate survivors of the Pleistocene epoch. Your anxiety is not a monster trying to destroy you. It is an ancient, fiercely loyal bodyguard that desperately wants to keep you breathing. This invisible bodyguard does not understand emails, mortgages, or social media. It only understands that you feel threatened, and it violently prepares you to fight. Every time your chest tightly constricts and your stomach forcefully ties itself in knots, that is just your primal biology aggressively trying to protect you. The absolute first step to healing this toxic mismatch is profound biological empathy. You must stop violently fighting your own nervous system and simply observe it. When a phantom lion stalks your modern office, do not panic about panicking. Recognize the ancient alarm, acknowledge the mismatch, and consciously break the loop. By understanding the prehistoric roots of your stress, you can slowly begin to forcefully rewire how your prefrontal cortex responds to this primitive chemical flood. Your logical, modern brain can actually send a calming neural signal back down to your terrified amygdala, effectively telling the ancient bodyguard to stand down. You must actively prove to your nervous system that you are safe. Step outside, deeply inhale the cold air, and physically release that trapped kinetic tension. Whether it is a heavy sprint or a deep, exhausted exhale, your body desperately needs to physically complete the survival cycle to truly power down. Once the physical release happens, the burning cortisol is finally flushed from your veins, and your cardiovascular system can peacefully return to a healing baseline. You can never completely delete your ancient survival software, but you can finally stop letting it violently hijack your beautiful, incredibly safe modern life. Your modern anxiety is not a weakness, a disease, or a malfunction. It is the absolute highest biological proof that you belong to a lineage of ultimate survivors. Every single one of your ancestors successfully avoided the fangs of predators, the freezing winters, and the brutal starvation of the Pleistocene epoch. They survived. They survived because their nervous systems were perfectly tuned to the slightest rustle in the tall grass. And they passed that magnificent, hyper-vigilant gift directly to you. You are carrying a living, breathing, biological museum inside your chest. The modern world simply changed entirely too fast for your ancient hardware to keep up. But once you deeply understand this evolutionary mismatch, you stop fighting yourself. You can finally look at your own biological panic and whisper a quiet, "Thank you." You can acknowledge the ancient bodyguard standing watch in the shadows, appreciate its fierce loyalty, and gently tell it that the savannah is finally safe. The toxic flood of cortisol stops. The gripping tension in your gut slowly untangles, and your racing heart finally settles back into a calm, steady, powerful rhythm. You do not need to be fixed, because you were never broken in the first place. You are simply remembering a brutally harsh world that no longer exists. This profound shift in perspective changes absolutely everything. It completely strips away the heavy shame of anxiety and replaces it with a deep, quiet, ancestral pride. You are the apex of 300,000 years of human endurance. You carry the unbreakable spirit of the Ice Age survivors in your very DNA. So the next time the modern world tries to crush you with artificial stress, take a deep breath and reconnect with the ancient wilderness inside you. Let the digital noise fade away and feel the immense, quiet power of the biological masterpiece that has kept your bloodline alive against all impossible odds. You're sitting perfectly safe in a soft chair, looking at a glowing screen and a single unread message. But this time, everything is completely different. Your chest is no longer tight. Your heart does not violently pound. Instead, it beats with the quiet, unbreakable rhythm of an ancient survivor who knows peace. Your body isn't broken, it's remembering. From ape to legend, that's the beautiful story of every human alive. See you next week on Ape to Legend. Subscribe.